Hello, everyone. This is Shelley Gibbs on Recipe for Success, and I hope you're not listening. But if you are, please do spread the word. Today, I would like to welcome Maha Shirah, a powerful voice for women empowerment and a founder of SheWorks. Welcome, Maha.
Hi, Sheila. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I will start with SheWorks. How did all that came about? What is SheWork?
Yeah, sure. Maybe a little brief about myself because SheWorks is part of me until today.
Yeah, exactly.
So, early, probably back in 2013 and even before that, I returned from the US and Canada. I was accompanying my husband. I already had my MBA, had my kids. They have grown up a little bit. And I decided I used to be an ex-banker. I didn't want to go back to the to the banking sector. I decided to open a small business. I loved photography and art, so I started working as a freelance photographer. I already had a diploma from Canada, so why not practice it in Saudi? Especially the business was starting to boom. The micro businesses, SMEs, all of that started in 2012, 2013. So I worked as a freelance consultant. Back then, it was not easy. The community in Saudi, as many people know, was segregated. Men and women were separated. We're not allowed to work in the same office or the same area. And for me as a woman back then, it was hard for me to meet clients. I had to go to hotel, to lobbies, to cafes, different places, even offices, of course. I had to go and meet because I was a commercial photographer. And again, working and, taking all that work, going back home, working from my own small area. At that time, I was living in a small apartment. My kids, were young at that time. I couldn't do anything, with my work, except after they go back to bed. They go to bed at 8 o'clock, at night. At that time, it was not easy for me to work except after sleeping hours. And I used to work all night and finish my retouch and my photography and whatever I was doing. And the other thing was I wasn't able to meet other photographers or graphic designers or anybody from that community. I felt so isolated. I wanted to have my own space, my own office, maybe someplace where I can work. Back then, co-working spaces did not exist in Saudi, in Riyadh especially. Maybe one or two or three. There are the big famous ones, Regis and Surf Corp. They did not serve entrepreneurs or startups or micro businesses. They were too expensive. We were not part of the target audience. And like I said, the co-working space back then didn't have female section, or they didn't include females. The regulations was harsh back then. So I decided to open my own space for women. Of course, I did a survey and a study. I started reaching out to people like, would you like to see a space where you can join, meet other startups, other entrepreneurs, even create clubs, stuff like that. And the answer was yes. A lot of women, especially housewives, or people who, because of maternity had to cut their work career and go back to work again, that gap, I was among these ladies. We just wanted a place where we can meet, maybe develop some ideas, like I said, network. So I created a space. I took a rent, an office space, 400 square meter. It was not cheap. And when you take something here in Riyadh City or in Saudi in general, you take a space, yes, but it's not developed. So all you see is cement. You have to develop it. You have to bring your own contractor and design it and develop it and do all of this thing. And thank God we finished it in 2013. We finished the space and it was ready to function. Back then, of course, I realized, it's the new journey for me to go and get the permits. Little did I know that it was not an easy journey. Nobody prepared me. Again, no, I don't have anyone with me except God, then my husband, and one of my best friends who supported me financially. Like, she loved the idea, so she decided to become an investor with me. She became a partner. But the three of us actually did not have any clue of what to do. I read about business incubators. I read about co-working space. I've seen some models in different countries. But nobody actually helped me with it. Nobody guided me. So I had to depend on a lot of research, a lot of studies, and faith, and taking the risk. So yeah, we started that journey. With time, with the regulations also changing, back in 2015, King Salman took over, and we had the new Vision 2030. Everything was a bit vague and not clear for us at the beginning. But then once we started to understand where the kingdom is going and the vision, and what Prince Muhammad said about the Vision 2030, and how he expects and hopes to see Saudi, and their encouragement of entrepreneurship and innovation, and the quality of life and all of that. And this is something we've seen firsthand. And the good thing is that the way they led this is by example. They started in their own ministries and their own government entities. They didn't just, promote this like, oh, you should have women in your
In your
board, or you should
business.
have
Yeah.
more women in power. No, actually, they implemented it. They applied it in their own government entities.
Well done.
They asked for digital transformation. They started with the digital transformation. It was amazing. And when people say like, oh yeah, but that's like, no, 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 you have no clue how it was. For me, especially, for example, like I said, I witnessed it firsthand. When I first started my business, like I said, I had to go to every single ministry physically. After, like in 2016, I did everything online. I didn't move. Just like what we're doing right now. We don't have to meet in an office. We can do everything digitally.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
the digitalization started in, like, the e-government started in 2016. It was amazing. A lot of things have been solved. A lot of things. We saved a lot of time. And there's a checklist, there's a website, and they keep developing. They even have their own application. Apps were booming. Everything was booming. When I started SheWorks, it was a necessity in my perspective, in my perspective. Back then, the co-working space and the ecosystem of entrepreneurs did not exist. So I had to provide a space for startups, women, especially women. But after the pandemic, actually, during the 2019, the whole ecosystem of entrepreneurs and startups have changed a lot in Saudi. A lot of VCs have popped up. They got the permits in 2018. A lot of business incubators, business accelerators. Some were actually supported by the government and some
For
universities.
women?
Not for women, for men and women. So the
Yeah.
thing is, in 2016, the regulations have changed. There's no segregation. So
Got
men
it.
and women can work in the same space. They can work together. I didn't change SheWorks back then. I mean, a lot of people told me, like, you still had women. I said, yes, because we're still in a transitional phase. You cannot expect me, some lady, some Saudi lady who has been to women only school, women only university, and in our own community, in our own culture,
Of
many
course.
culture here in Saudi, men and women don't usually sit in the same, unless they're close family, close
Yeah.
relatives. They don't sit in the same area. You don't expect them suddenly to go and mix with strange men. But it just needs time. So gradually, we were in this transitional phase of women who are not used to working with men, unless they're in the health sector or banking or
Of course.
certain
Of course.
sectors, to nowadays, it's very normal. It's the norm to see men and women working next to each other. And there are lots of regulation to protect women. They also developed with time, because previously, like I said, we didn't need these regulations. We were just
Yeah.
working in women only communities or places. So they developed the harassment and the penalties and all of that. But the regulations are there to protect women.
Have you managed to create a new business out of this?
In 2021, I worked as I was offered a job. First of all, let me just be honest. Closing SheWorks took a big toll on me. So I felt like I lost a child.
Yes, of
I
course.
was
We
so
understand.
attached to SheWorks, and a lot of people who were with me in the incubation or in the co-working space and the program that we had were very much attached as well. I remember we all cried, we all snuffed. And like I said, I was alone at that time because my husband was in quarantine, and I had to move my stuff out, and give back the real estate and the office to the real estate owner or the landlord. I had to sit home and think, what's next? It was not easy for me because I was eating, sleeping, breathing SheWorks. So mentally and psychologically, I was not happy, but I was
Of
also
course.
grateful that my kids are safe, my husband is safe, my
Of
family is
course.
safe, everybody's safe. It's just, it took a toll on me. I didn't realize that it took a toll. I mean, I was living daily, so it was fine. But later on, I remember when I first spoke about SheWorks, I just felt like, oh my, as I felt like I'm remembering somebody who just passed away. But later on, I mean, like with time, it's like SheWorks is an entity, and it was an initiative, a great initiative that I
I think
can
so.
replicate anytime I want. So
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world. And of course, that changed also my mentality. And like I said, into 2021, I thought, why not work for the first time with someone else? And I was approached by an entity. It was a fintech. They're based in Dubai, and they wanted a regional manager in Saudi. So I worked with them. For me, it was the first time working as a business owner, or somebody who has an experience as a business owner, not just an employee. I
Yes.
remember before having SheWorks as a business owner, I was just a regular employee. So when I became a business owner, my mentality switched.
Of
When
course.
I became an employee again, but a senior employee, so I had these mixes. Like, what would a business owner think, and what would an employee think?
Mm,
How can I, balance between the two?
mm.
Give as much as I can to the business.
What was the business about?
Like I said, it was a fintech. So you send a link. If you
Mhm.
have a business, you have an e-commerce, you're selling something or a service, and you want payment online.
Oh, got
Payment
it. Got
online.
it.
Yeah, fintechs were not in Saudi. It was booming.
Yeah.
I remember in 2018 we had probably 9 fintechs, and they were mostly in the sandbox, still under study and to study the regulation that fits them. And in 2022, we have 158 fintechs.
Fintechs.
Yeah.
So are you still with them or have you
No, not
managed?
really. I worked with them for a year. It
Yeah.
was a new experience for me to work with a non-Saudi company.
Got it.
How to open the permit here in Saudi as an expat company. Of course, my connection with time helped me a lot. Um, they figured out how valuable I am because of my connection,
Yeah.
and how easy for me to get things done. Of course, I'm Saudi, so I have the connection and I can easily get things done. I understand the system.
Yeah.
We had our differences because they're still don't understand the market in Saudi. So
Mm.
they kept comparing Riyadh to Dubai, which is a big mistake. You don't compare Riyadh to Dubai. The business here is totally different than here. The
Yeah.
regulations are totally different.
Mm.
So I kept arguing a lot that you should not, you should trust me more.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not many men trust women,
Yeah.
even though I'm stubborn and I can get things done. And
Successful
exactly, but
and a mother.
I'm a mother, and the thing is, honestly, after the age of 40, I reached to, I'm 44 right now, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
You reach to a conclusion, pick your battles. You don't have to fight everything.
Of
If they don't
course.
want it, they don't want it.
Tell me about your new
So
adventure.
I went through other adventures. I opened an interior design with a designer. I was helping him with the business, and he wanted me to be a partner. So I worked with that. I loved that, honestly,
Mm.
because I love art and design and all of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And also, I worked with, I'm still on a partner with a business incubator,
Yeah.
business accelerator. So I'm still working in my sector, and I work as a freelance consultant.
Yeah.
I help entrepreneurs, startups with different accelerators, different incubators. Mostly, I work with entities more than individuals.
Got it.
So but I still enjoy it because,
Yeah.
like I said, I've been breathing entrepreneurship all my life,
Yeah.
or at least for the last 10 years. I enjoy it. I love it. And I'm very honest with them as well. I tell them, like, I'm your doctor. I would tell you what symptoms you have.
Yeah.
It's up to
Exactly.
you if you want to take the medicine or you want to try
Absolutely.
something else. But I'm just here to give you an honest opinion. And now, for the last less than a year, I went also through the journey of opening a beauty salon, which is a
Oh,
different sector.
good.
So my husband also suggested, like, why don't you open your own beauty salon? And it's like,
Yeah.
why would I open a beauty salon? It's like, I know it's a headache.
Yeah.
It's a totally different business. And it's like, you're telling me you can't do it? And it's like, of course I can do it, but I don't have the experience. You don't need experience. All the
Yeah.
ladies who own salons or the people who open the salon, most of them, they don't have experience, which is, yes, actually shocked me because when I went through the business, to be honest, like, for example, building the facility, it's a piece of cake because I've done that many times.
And of
Going
course.
through the regulation is also a piece of cake for me compared
Yeah.
to the first time I did it. Selecting employees and recruiting talent people, that was a bit challenging because when you're in the beauty industry, this industry is very challenging. The consumers here in Saudi are very, very demanding and picky,
Of
especially
course.
in Riyadh City. Yeah, they want the best of the best. And
Of course.
unfortunately, like, for example, compared to other countries, our costs are high.
Oh, yeah.
The rent is high. We have imports, we have taxes, the material itself.
Yeah. Of
Sometimes they
course.
have to pay extra to get really high quality material, especially with the heat. It's not
Yes.
easy.
Yeah.
I'm also in the process, because of this, I'm
Yeah.
also in the process of opening a beauty company that sells beauty products.
We don't have much time, but what I would ask you, with all this experience and knowledge you have acquired, what would you give to a younger self and to the younger generation? Which advice would you tell to yourself if when you were young?
For my younger self, I would say I was a bit harsh on myself, but I don't regret it. I mean, I lived a very good life with my parents, and I love them. They raised me, and they made me the person who I am today.
Yeah.
And not to be afraid of taking risk, because I used to be very cautious, and I avoided risk
Yeah.
because this is how my dad raised me. It's like you have to calculate everything, you have to put strategy. Sometimes I don't need strategy. Sometimes I just go with the flow. However, it's also for the younger generation. It's easy for us to say this, like at this stage of our life. It's like go with the flow, take a risk, because we already gained that experience.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing. We know what is exactly right and wrong, and what is the gray area in between.
Yeah.
Because we reach that with our mistakes, with making mistakes, with learning from other people, and also preparing ourselves. What I've noticed with the younger generation is that many of them have that confidence, but they lack the knowledge and experience. They're not
Yes.
ready. They want to jump without even learning and calculating how
Mm.
far is the cliff.
Yeah.
And I see them; they're excited and happy. It's great. You have that energy, but don't just take that risk as fast as you think you are. Don't
Yeah.
rush into it. You have to be prepared. You have to learn. You have to mix with the right audience. You have to find mentors. It's easy nowadays to find mentors and consultants. In my time, it was hard. And
Yeah.
also to network and connect, like I said, with the right audience. A lot of people think like, oh, I saw you on TV. It's like, I will do something similar to you. Yeah, you saw the shiny part. And the other thing is that a lot of them think that we owe them. We don't owe you anything. You have to earn our trust. It's even at work. I love working with juniors because it's an opportunity for me to give back to the community through
Mm.
them. I want them to learn from my mistakes and to
Yeah.
avoid it. But unfortunately, sometimes, and this is something I learned even with raising my kids, they have to do their own mistakes. This is how they learn and appreciate a lot of things in their life, and also learn the grit and all of that. Grit,
Absolutely.
you cannot have grit unless you go through really tough, bad times.
Absolutely. Which I don't see them as a bad times. I call them learning experience.
Learning experience, exactly. I mean, like for other people, they consider them bad times. Like, oh, you've been bankrupt, you did this.
Of
It's like,
course.
yeah, but I hear people, especially women, go through very bad, tough times sometimes, a divorce or loss of business or loss of child and all of that. And sometimes they're wondering, like, why am I going through this? And it's like, sometimes we need tough lessons. We don't
Yeah,
understand. We can't learn it from other people. We didn't go through it. We have to physically, mentally go through these experiences ourselves. So then our brain can turn on
absolutely.
and understand what's going on.
Absolutely. Well, you've been amazing. And one last question to wrap up this incredible interview. What advice would you give to us, Luma, who are trying to empower women in the Middle East and giving a voice to the women in the Middle East?
I think you should come to Saudi. Come to Saudi. Everybody's coming to Saudi. Come to Saudi. Meet women face to face. Because I've noticed, yes, we have the digital methods, but we're still a very interactive social beings, especially women.
Yeah.
Unless I meet you in person, not everybody is in the same level as me.
Mm,
I noticed I'm very outspoken, extrovert, you know,
yeah.
but a lot of people, especially women from the Arabian area, from the Middle East, we don't trust that easily. We don't like to, I don't want to say network, but it's not easy for us to be out there.
Mm,
Even
mhm.
those who are exposed to social media, if you take a look at them in real life, they're actually very humble, very shy. They don't
Yeah.
like the spotlight a lot.
Yeah.
But once they get to know you in person,
Yeah.
and you earn their trust, actually, they become your best friend, and we support each other. This is how we actually. This is something I tell every single woman. It's like,
Yeah.
please connect, meet each other at school, at university, at work, in restaurants, in clubs, in parties, whatever. It's like, get to know each other. Because this is how we help each other in business, in crisis, in a lot of things. We come together because
Yeah.
we know each other. If I
Yeah.
don't know you, I won't be concerned to help
Hmm.
you.
Makes sense.
Not everybody does that. But we're more exposed than we used to.
Hmm.
But we still, I think we need
Hmm.
more exposure, more network. And the only thing I've noticed that is really strong is meeting and interaction face to face.
Hmm.
Because they get to know the real you, not only,
Yeah.
like I said, in business, even in social life,
Yeah.
in your personal life. That's why we always like to go out for dinner or go for a coffee.
Yeah.
You see the person behind the name.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
This is my perspective of things.
It sounds amazing. Listen, you've been amazing. Your background is phenomenal. I am so proud of you and the hurdles you went through life. It's incredible. Plus motherhood on the side, plus a pandemic and having a business. I mean, amazing. My respect. To everyone at Luma, thanks for tuning in into this week's episode. I hope to see you again. Be sure to join us again as new episodes will be released every week. Don't forget to follow the Luma Club on Instagram. So please stay tuned. Please follow Maha. Stay tuned and we see you next week.